I have a confession.
Oh my God, tell me everything.
So I'm so embarrassed by this. I was deep in my deep freezer, my case freezer, and I was getting out a turkey, as you do in, April.
Of course.
And
always turkeys.
Yeah, I mean, as you do. And I'm digging really deep into it, and I get the bottom, and I don't know how it happened. I don't know if there's a little bit of like moisture on the sidewall of the freezer, if somehow I had a tiny bit of moisture on my finger, but I literally got stuck to the side of my case freezer with my thumb. Like in A Christmas Story where that kid gets his tongue stuck on the
pole.
Yes. And my arm is like full on, like shoulder deep in the case freezer, and my thumb is stuck in the bottom of the freezer, and I can't get out. I am pinned like a butterfly inside the case freezer. And I know if I pull too hard, I'm going to lose the top half of my thumb.
Oh my gosh.
But my thumb is burning. It is burning as I sit there because we forget that like it's cryogenically cold in your case freezer. And all of my mind is thinking to myself, I don't know what to do about this situation. I'm millions of miles away from water to get myself out of this situation. I'm like, can I spit down there far enough? So I'm yelling for my boyfriend who's sitting on a conference call meeting. And I'm like, Nils, you have to come get me. You have to come. And he's like, I'm on a call. And I'm like, I don't care. Come get me anyway.
Call 911.
I'm like, it's not funny. Come get me. So he comes in, he's like, I'm on a call. I'm like, and my arm is like super deep into the case freezer. I'm like, just get me water. I'm stuck. And I've been there for like, at that point, probably 30, 40 seconds. And my finger is blue. And I'm so worried that I'm going to lose my finger and I might have frostbite.
So you totally have frostbite. Y'all, I don't know if you can see this. Obviously, if you're just listening, but there is a blister, like the entire end of her finger is just
it's blistered. It's blistered. It's so blistered. It hurts so bad. I'm on the third day now. It hurt so bad. And it is not pretty. I'm really glad right now I'm not doing any extractions or anything because I can't even touch it still. It hurts so bad.
So your confession is you gave yourself frostbite in your freezer at home.
I'm so not smart.
Well, I feel really vindicated from calling you when I got jalapeno in my eye. So I feel like this is
this is the worst. I had to go look up what to do about it, what frostbite looks like. Like I had to go find it, like, because like the blister, it took like 3 days for the blister to fully raise up to even like show. It was so like red and like purple and blue looking.
So wait, what do you do? Let's just take a moment.
So you're supposed to like put it under warm water, just like lukewarm water to kind of bring the temperature back up. And then, cause it was white, it showed as just like a white blister. And the rest of my skin was super like blue red. And so you put it under lukewarm water until like the color comes back, and it hurts so bad. Mm-hmm. And then once that happens, you just leave it alone and you try to keep it out of any kind of cool or hot, and then just leave it be. And they said that the inflammation will go down on its own and you'll probably have a blister. And as long as you have feeling and sensation, that's a good thing.
That means you can keep the thumb.
Yeah. And, my nail kind of got a little bit swollen as well, but it stayed on. It doesn't look like I'm going to lose it, but no, it was bad. It was bad.
God. I hope there's
the skin's cracking a little bit. So I'll keep everybody posted next week. I'll let you know how it's going.
Okay. But the real question is, was it worth it?
The turkey looks gorgeous. If you're on my feed, you can see what it looks like. I'll put it up there. I'll probably keep it in a highlight of, frostbite worth it.
Worth it? Not worth it. I mean, sometimes there's some things that like, it was worth it.
Oh my God. Literally, I felt like one of those, like in my head, I will be straight with you. In my head, the background music was the oh no from TikTok. It was oh no, oh no, 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 no. I was like, how is this even happening in real life?
Oh my God, that's like the soundtrack of my life too. When I like spill stuff, I dropped a whole thing of water on myself. And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 water everywhere.
And this is how, when people are like, so I did this thing to myself, how, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, oh, this is what you do. People are like, how do you know that? I'm like, probably because I did it. Probably because I've learned from experience.
Frostbite in your deep freezer? Yep, been there.
Totally. What, you haven't got yourself stuck into your case freezer and didn't know what to do?
I can't say that I have, but now I guess you should always have water around, or like a lot of spit ready to go.
I mean, honestly, I'm really considering keeping some emergency water next to the case freezer from now on.
Could it be like one of those like old fashioned like spray bottles, like the comedy like spritzer things for the seltzer?
Like the seltzer bottles?
Yes. No. You need one of those with the netting on it.
I think it would just be like a basin jar where you're like, holy shit, and it just blows down.
But like, what if you pour all the water in and then you just have like a frozen block in there?
I don't care. So I will tell you what saved me was my magic mitt. Nils put water on my magic mitt, and I squeezed it down and it let me go.
Oh.
So Jane Iredale's magic mitt has saved me again.
Saved the day. Oh my God. Well, this
is everyone.
Not brought to you by Jane Iredale's magic mitt, but if it wanted to be, we would totally be down with that.
Absolutely, because I do love my Jane Iredale and the magic mitt. Use
it every morning.
I do. We love it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Cybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses. Running your own business, it's hard.
But we are terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I've already figured it out clearly. I mean, I can put my arm down a case freezer and get myself out of a sticky situation. So we promise to tell you everything we know about what it takes to make six figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
A bunch of it totally sucks. Let's get started.
Yeah, like sticking your hand in a deep freezer. So, on today's show, as we're starting, I realized, oh no, we didn't think about this part ahead of time, but we're going to talk about attrition because let's face it, all the time, every time, clients are going to be leaving us, and we can use this as an opportunity to adjust and learn and grow, or we can just say, oh no, and sit there.
And one of the most important things you might think about is how to learn from what's going on with those clientele that might be leaving so that you can look to the future and project what might be happening with those clients.
This is all about being proactive rather than reactive. Yeah. Sometimes there are situations, right, like clients are leaving where you do have to be a little bit reactive, but how can you turn that into something like Cybil's saying as well, where it's, future forecasting for how to change things so that the next time people leave, it's for an entirely different reason. Because people are going to leave. It's going to happen. They're not going to be our clients forever and ever and ever and ever.
Right. And in the industry, we call this like attrition. And it's a big word. It seems really scary. And, sometimes, I think that we assume that all clients leaving is a bad thing. We're like, oh, no. But sometimes clients leaving is a way to tell us that it's time to change up what we're doing. It's time to think about how we can, change ourselves. And it's a good way to look at how we're running our business. Right? It's a good reality check sometimes.
Yeah. And also, your business is here for your clients. And if you're not reacting and offering them what they want, like what's the point?
Right. Absolutely. So I know that right now, like a lot of people, I think are kind of moving. I think with the pandemic and stuff, you might notice that people are moving cities, counties, states. They might be looking at their money and being like, this isn't maybe where I want to be spending it, or maybe I want to be doing something a little bit different with my life. And so you might be freaking out. And I think that one of the things that you can think about for yourself is, instead of kind of freaking out, is to have a game plan. And for me, when I have attrition of clients, I like to look at my business and say, what is it that I really want to be doing with my business right now? We've talked about this before, Alex and I, but it's a good time to kind of look at your menu. It's a good time to reassess who your clients are that you want to keep. Are you serving your clients? And are you losing clients because they're moving, or are you losing clients for a different reason? And you might be
because you suck. No, we're just kidding. We're not saying that. We're not saying that at all.
No, but I mean, you might be losing clients because you're not serving the clientele that needs to be served. So the clients who are leaving are the clients that aren't your clients anymore. And your new core clients are a different client.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. No, I think too of like when I first started my membership, the type of people that joined then, and how I was able to serve them compared to who's there now. And it's an entirely different just relationship all the way around.
Right. So I'm going to talk about a couple different things. And so I'm going to try to stay on track with this, because with attrition, I think there's a lot of stuff to look at. But there are three main things that I look at when I'm paying attention to my book. So we've all looked at our book and been like, oh my God, there are all these holes that I'm not booking, right? It freaks us out. It makes us really scared. Yeah. Makes us really scared. I get chills and like sweats and worries just thinking about it. All right. It is not a problem until you've had 2 months back to back of this problem. Okay. That is 2 months back to back of this problem. All right. When it's 2 months back to back, what you do is you look at your books and you start trying to look at why you're having kind of emptiness on your books. And then you start paying attention. Are your clients not rebooking? Are your clients canceling off of your book? Are your clients letting you know by the things they're saying that they're unhappy with you? Or is there something else going on?
Now, right? Is there a difference of people canceling an already booked appointment versus just not rebooking?
Yeah. So when people cancel, so Alex, have you ever had a person that you didn't want to like confront face to face and tell them that you didn't like what was happening or didn't, and so therefore you were like, yeah, no, I'll totally get together with you. I'll totally see you for that. And then you're just quietly canceled off their book, or you drop them an email or text saying, oh, I'm not going to make that.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah. So that's what happens primarily when a client is unhappy with your service or something that's happening. At least from what I have discovered over the years. Mm-hmm. If somebody is unhappy with what's going on, they're probably going to rebook. They're going to pretend everything is normal.
And then cancel.
But what will happen? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what will happen is they will quietly cancel the appointment. Mm-hmm. Right. And the best way to deal with that. So Alex, we set up an email sequence for you to try to find out, why people were canceling a membership. Mm-hmm. Right. That sequence is based on my experience of why people might leave my business. Mm-hmm. Right. Because I always want to know. Do you remember what that sequence is?
Oh, totally. So in my system, when you cancel your membership, you're not canceled right away. You retain, because they're basically prepaying for the month. So you keep your access until the end of that prepaid period. Mm-hmm. So when that cancellation thing goes off, I think it's like 3 days later. I could probably even send it sooner. There's an email that goes out that's like, hey, I saw that you canceled, trying not to like pressure them and like, you need to stay, because I want it to be like a no pressure thing. But if you wouldn't mind, like, could you share some feedback as to what worked for you, what didn't work? And like, what did you feel was missing to help you really be successful? Because this works a number of ways, right? I get feedback that I can then turn around and use in promotional and marketing materials. Mm-hmm. And then I've also learned a lot from the people who have canceled. Yeah. My favorite being a family friend who was like, I hope you don't hate me for this. And then she gave me really, really good and honest feedback. Because I do think that when it comes to feedback, like if it's somebody we don't really care about, then we don't even like care enough to give feedback. So when someone takes the time to give feedback, there's always some really good things in there. And I have gone and then added stuff or changed how I showed up or changed something within the membership because of that feedback. And I even did this, like, I think the most important thing I've learned, well, not the most, but one of the many things I've learned from you, Cybil, is asking, right? Someone asks for a refund. I just had that happen this week. And I said, yes, absolutely, no problem. Can you let me know why? The reason why they refunded was something I was already thinking about making this change to this product. And so that was the push I needed to be like, okay, universe, I hear you. Let me make it a better user experience for.
Right. And so, and that sequence came out of the fact that what happens with me is that a client will, I'll get a client email or something and they'll be like, hi, I'm just I have to cancel my appointment. And I'm like, oh, okay, do you want to reschedule? No, not at this time. Or I'll see that they cancel off of my book and I'll be like, okay, so you've canceled off of my book, and I'll just have it drop them an email saying, hi, I noticed that you've canceled. I'm just checking to see if you want to reschedule. And if you don't, can you please just let me know if it's something I've done? Because it helps me change it for the future. It's very important that I continue to grow as a business owner.
Yeah.
Right. And I believe with yours, even Alex, I said, if you never want me to contact you again, I will. But if after having this conversation, if you'd like me to contact you back and discuss this, please let me know.
I don't think I like that part.
You would be surprised how many people, when you reach out to them, you'll find out things like there was a misunderstanding, or you've done something that they were like, this is something that bothers me and I didn't feel comfortable talking to you about it, but now I can because you've opened the door. And let me tell you, if one person has a problem with it, someone else has a problem with it. Right. And I always talk about the time that I was having attrition with clientele, and I thought that I was holding my life together. I thought everything was going fine and I was doing my job and going along trucking fine. But clearly I had a friend who was dying of cancer, and I was clearly not doing fine because it took one of my clients to respond back to an email where I was like, and I noticed that you canceled the booking and I'm just trying to find out what's going on. And she's like, so the last few appointments, I just feel that, you haven't been your usual self. I don't feel like you're connecting. You don't seem to be giving me the time that I'm used to. And I just don't really want to come see you anymore. I don't want you to feel bad about it, but I can't. And she literally said, I can't put my finger on what's wrong, but I don't feel like I'm getting the care that I'm used to. And I sat there and I was like, oh my God. And so that was the lesson that I learned, that I needed to, one, be more transparent with my clients when shit is going on in my life.
Yeah.
Because they're going to know.
Yeah.
Right. It's just how it is. I'm going to have to tell them. And then I came out to her and I said, this is what's happening. Please give me a second shot. I apologize. And I appreciate you telling me so that I can let other people know. And once I let other people, in the studio know, I literally had all these people saying, oh my God, I didn't realize, I'm sorry if, I was, not supporting you, blah, blah, blah. And then my book filled back up again.
This is not necessarily about attrition, but I'm currently in a season too where I'm emotionally being drawn in other places, and I've been transparent. Not really. I mean, obviously, my clients do, when we have sessions, I'm not where I usually am, and I've mentioned some stuff, but it's also, maybe similar to your situation. It's not my story to tell. So I'm not blasting it all over the internet. So how do you, having gone through that, how do you dance that line as well of being honest and forthright, but in a good way? You know what I mean?
All you can do is talk about it from your perspective. So for me, I was just, it was because it wasn't something where I was just like, hi, I have, I can talk to you about my feelings right now. That's all you can do. You can say, I'm in a place right now where I have someone who's very close to me who is, essentially dying, and I'm struggling. And that's essentially how I couched it to my client. It's still very emotional to me, but that's how I coached, that's how I couched it to my clientele. And they were very understanding. about it. And I really appreciated all of them for that. Because, people forget that, like, we put on this persona for people, and like our job is to be caregivers, but it can be hard for us too. So, at our time of life, we have to allow ourselves to be, we work so closely with our clients that we have to allow ourselves to be kind of, vulnerable for them. And we can't let it take over. And that is the hard line to walk, because, when we're in that room or they're in that space, they'll want to be like, hey, are you okay? And you have to be like, oh, thank you so much for asking. I'm doing the best I can right now, and I appreciate you so much asking, but you can't go into huge amounts of details. You can't talk to them a lot about it, because what they're asking is they just want to make sure you're doing okay. They want you to know that they're checking in with you.
Yeah.
But it's not their responsibility to take on your garbage. Right?
And this is when you definitely
fine line.
Therapy.
It's a fine line. And that is the hardest part of what we do, to be able to give them enough that they feel, and because there are always going to be a couple of your clients who really, to feel like they are connecting with you, that they do want a little bit more. They want to feel a little bit more connected, and so they're going to want to know just a little bit more than just like, I'm great. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking. But there's some people that they're just going to be like, I asked, I did my due diligence.
Yeah, I did.
Right. I want you to know that I care.
That's so, like, I'm realizing from like a customer standpoint too, of other service providers I've worked with who, like, I felt like I was their therapist every time I went to see them. And I was just like, look, I'm tired of this drama.
Yeah.
And so I just ghosted.
I know.
And all the things we're talking about.
I understand. So I will be straight. So this is a little off topic, but I will be straight. This is apparently a whole nother episode we could do. Literally, when I was building a house, I caught myself at 2 different times. Building a house was like the worst breakup I've ever had. Like, that's what it felt like. And I would find myself, I'd have to cut myself off at one point and be like, no one can ask me about my house.
Right.
Because I'd be like, I can't stop myself from talking about it. Like, I can't, it's too,
the deep.
Yeah. It's too topical for me. And I'm like, because I'm there every week. I need you to not ask me. So people come down, they're like, how? I'm like, don't ask me about my house. I'm like, thank you for being thoughtful, but just don't ask.
That's how it's going.
I can't separate. It has to stay outside. Because I just caught myself being like word vomit.
Yeah. Well, especially when it's something that's like so close to you of, you want to talk about it, you want to process it. Like, you can't keep it to yourself.
It was terrible. And when I caught my friends, like you have those episodes of Sex and the City where they're just like, Carrie, can you just stop talking about your breakup? That's how I felt about my house.
Yes.
And I was like, please just don't talk to me about it anymore. It's too much.
It's too much. But, this also, I think, touches upon other things we've talked about as well, because even like we have, and I fully get it now. And I remember I pushed back on you when we talked about this, of having like your business persona and like who you really are. And as I grow wiser of realizing like there are parts of me that like I'm not ready to share, I don't want to share, are not mine to share. And being able to like still show up and like, who is that person? Because sometimes there's like a privacy curtain. And like, I don't want it to be super apparent and like drive a wedge between people like you're talking about. But also it's just like, it's who I am.
Yeah.
There's a little friend who just walked in to say,
oh, she's always so sweet. But you do have to, because you potentially, this is all still relevant to the topic of attrition. Understand that one of the number one reasons that you could potentially lose clients is because of we are so closely knit with our clientele. Is because they're not getting something from you. They're not getting that feel, that experience, that connection, because they're coming to see you, right? They're coming to get something from you, that you give them something vital, that spark that the other person doesn't give them. And so if, you're not that person who's vulnerable with them and who's able to tell them that maybe I'm not in the place that I am and I'm not being my 100% self right now, and please forgive me for that, then you could potentially lose that client. And that's something that I learned. And I learned it almost like the hardest way possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Luckily, I did have a client who told me honestly what was going on. And if you've out there had this happen and you're like, I don't know what's going on, and I've lost these clients, and try to think about what, you can learn from the future, because it's such a hard lesson. It's such a hard lesson.
Yeah, like there's this line to dance with your clients, but when people are dropping off your books, like you did as well, like you have to just be like, let me do a gut check. Like, let me set up those systems in place so that I am getting this data and I am getting this information. And probably like more than half of the people in my business, when they cancel, like they don't let me know why they canceled. But for every person that does, it is so helpful and so valuable. So a period of time where I had a ton of attrition, in the online marketing space, we call it churn, or retention, was right around Christmas time, right? So this was the first holidays we were going into from the pandemic, and I was losing like 2 or 3 people a week, where I only have like 30 something members at this point, so like that's a lot. Every person is like, $70 of monthly recurring income that has left. So then I start panicking. I'm like, oh no. Because once they leave, they've kind of left. They're gone,
right.
Now there's for sure stuff I could put into place to like invite them back after a certain period of time. And like, that's on my very long list of like long-term projects to take care of. But in the meantime, it's like, oh shit. Oh no. So what if it's like, something like that, right? Where it's holiday specific. I know you mentioned before that Januaries are super slow for you. So like, what do you do in like
January, April? Mm-hmm. Yeah, January. So like I said, it's going to be 2 months back to back. Right. So you had 1 month where you were like, you freaked out and you're like, I have so much churn. I have so many people that I've lost. You're going to watch it and you're going to be like, this does not look good. So the warning sign has gone off. You have a warning sign. You're like, oh, code yellow. This is not a good system. What's going down? I don't understand what's happening. And you start kind of looking at it until you've had that second month where you're like, this is now become a habit. This is a problem, right? Code red. This is a problem. And now we're looking at, is it me or isn't it something else? And I always say, I look at myself first, because like I can control myself, and almost all the time it's you. I'll be honest with you guys. It's almost always you.
Yeah. Well,
it's true.
Take some responsibility here. Yes, it always is.
But, you can look at exterior, because we've had a whole episode right before the pandemic, in fact, where I was like, I've been looking at my numbers and I've been seeing that there's a problem coming. And now, mind you, I did not see a pandemic coming, but I knew that there was a problem coming because I was having a lot of drop off with clients, which meant that I could see that there was something happening, and whether it was like a recession coming, which, guys, for all we know, there was supposed to be a giant recession, but right now we've just like papered money through it. So whether it was supposed to be a recession coming, or when we have a president election, there's always like a lot of fear that's going on. So external sources also happen. I saw it right before we had a writer strike in Los Angeles, before we had teacher strikes. Teachers will come in and be like, you know what, I'm prepping for the teacher strike and I just need to buckle down. I'm not going to be able to come and see you for appointments. And so if you have a lot of teachers, suddenly all of those clients won't see you. That becomes, at least what the problem is, but it doesn't solve the holes in your books.
Right. So what do you do for the holes in your books?
Well, you, have learned a valuable lesson about what your basis of clients are. And so you have like a weakness there, right? You can be like, well, if there's a problem with teachers, then maybe I need to have clients other than teachers. Because if there's a problem with teachers, then I lose all of my income. Right?
I have another question. Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, thinking of the people in my business, and I have a handful of people who are like the tried and true, who have been members for 1 year, 2 years. One of them, like, I never hear from, so I don't even know if she sees this monthly charge going through. Like, I don't know. The other two are super duper engaged in the community. So how do you go about finding, like, what kind of questions should we be asking those clients who are, like your core, sticking it through no matter what? Yeah, like, how do I find out what makes them special compared to the other people?
That's a great question. In our industry, we have something you have something called your core people. We call them our big spenders, right? We have them, our big spenders. And guys, if you're looking at your big spender list, it's not just the people who are like buying the most product. Your big spenders are the ones who actually do everything, right? They're the ones who they see you for literally everything. They're like, I'm in it for your eyebrows, your Brazilians, whatever facial you're doing. I get all the product. I do it all. They're the people who you can count on no matter what's happening, that you call up, you go, I got an empty spot and I will move into it. Whatever you want, girl, I'm there. Okay. So those core people, those are the people that you send out the most surveys to, or you make the phone calls to ask them specifically what they want. What are they liking? What are they doing? Because also they're the people who will give you the most honest answers.
I need to write this down. You guys, if you don't have a piece of paper out, survey your best people. Literally typing it down right now so that I don't forget.
And honestly, it's usually like 15 to 20 people max. So for example, I literally have a good example of this. I just sent out an email because I announced to my people yesterday that I'm coming back to Los Angeles to work 2 days a month. Okay. So I have 2 subsets of what big spenders or core people. So I pulled my numbers and I was like, okay, so anybody who I call, and this is what I literally tagged them. Alex would be so proud of me. I tagged these people for my active campaign email. I tagged them COVID heroes. Okay. Because they're the people who kept my business running. Anybody who purchased from me in 2020 is a COVID hero. So it was 66 people, okay, were my COVID heroes. Then I have my big spenders, who are the people who are in my skincare club, the people who are, maybe they didn't buy anything from my store, but they're part of the club and they're part of the email groups and they're part of all the other things. Those are the people who I texted, okay, because I have all their text information. I sent out a text to those people saying, here's my schedule. You have 2 hours to go book first. The email group, you have 24 hours to book. Okay. So I gave the text people 2 hours. They got the first choice, 2 hours advanced booking. Email people, they went out 2 hours later, they get 24 hours. At 3:00 today, the rest of my schedule goes out to everyone else.
Snooze, you lose.
Right? Because I have 10 to 12 spots on my book and that's it every month. That's it. So who do you think, when I ask people questions, who do I ask questions to? Of these 3 groups, who do I ask questions to?
The first group.
No, that is correct.
Or no?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. And what kind of questions should I be asking? I'm asking this for myself and for everyone listening.
Right. So the questions that I ask are, and are you asking attrition questions or just questions?
I'm doing, you guys, if you don't do what Cybil says, I'm going to tell you now, just do what Cybil says. So I'm going to send a survey out to all my members. Hey, what's up? And then what do I ask?
Well, it depends on what you know. So usually I ask things what? So, I have an entire email that I send out to people. It's like, I love Cybil and her services, but I wish.
Ooh, but I wish. Okay, also writing this.
But I wish. Open-ended. Almost all these are open-ended, but I wish.
Okay.
And then mine is about a space. So you could be like, I love everything about X thing. So whatever your thing is.
Yeah, the
Movement Mavens, your space, Cybil and her space. But I wish this one thing were different.
Okay.
Okay.
Timing.
Right. And then what makes me the happiest when I see you, when I do the thing, when I go in and I log on, whatever, is
okay,
or I look forward to this the most. Okay. I can't live without this from you.
I hope everybody is writing this down and turning this into a survey to ask their people. These are such great questions.
And I have a couple more on there, but I'm not going to give them away on this because these are good Skinfessional things.
Yeah.
So, but I have an entire thing because I did a thing called the disservice in your service many years ago, and I've only honed it over the years. But yes, so it's a really, really powerful survey to ask people. So when I have attrition from clientele, essentially I send out a survey and I ask the same thing where I'm like, I love Cybil and her space, but I decided to stop seeing her because. Okay. And I always leave it like that.
Would you send all of these questions or do you think like one?
No, I send all of them.
So that they can
I just do a survey monkey, right? And they can just open ended because if they don't want to, I don't require them to be answered. So if they don't want to answer it, they just move on.
Okay. And then in that email you sent, hey, just checking in, would love your feedback.
Usually it's, occasionally I just check in and try to find out what's going on so I can get a pulse, so I can get, read the pulse of what's going on in my business. I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
I like that because the way you framed it too makes it so that they are helping you out. It's not a, because sometimes I feel like surveys, I'm just like, but that's like, oh no, but I love Cybil. I want to do this favor for her. Right.
And I mean, that's essentially what they are doing for me. They're doing me a favor. By the way, I love filling out surveys. If people send me surveys, I can't help myself. I will literally fill out any survey. I will fill out anyone. Also, if you're sending the survey, tell them how many questions it is or how long it will take. I'm always like, this will be like a 5-minute survey. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Which is also motivation to keep it to like 5 questions.
I do. I try not to make them very long. Right. But I leave them open-ended because that way people can really answer as long as they want. And also you'll be so surprised by the answers you get.
I know.
You will be so crazy surprised by the answers you get. You'll be like, I did not expect that. So my nap time facial came out of one of these surveys. That honest to goodness, my nap time facial came out of one of these surveys. So I really expected people to be like, your prices are too expensive. As one of the answers to one of my survey questions. And the number one answer was, I wish I had more time on the bed with you. So nap time facial became.
Yeah, sure. Take a nap.
If you're having attrition, so you have people leaving and they're canceling and you send out a survey, the most important thing that you're trying to get from people is you're trying to get to the core of why they have decided, the real reason of why they've decided to leave.
That's not right. That the kids have swim practice now.
I mean, it might be. It might really be that they have swim practice. Which, by the way, if you call them and ask, or they drop you an email and they're like, well, I've just gotten really busy and it's hard to get on your schedule and blah, 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 blah. And all those things might be true, but there's probably something else going on. Something else is happening. And there's a deeper cause to it. So you're trying to get to the real core. I like to really just put in, a quick survey and it says, this is completely anonymous. Your answers only matter to me to help my business. I really appreciate it. And at the bottom, I always say, if you'd like me to contact you in regards to this so we can talk further, let me know. Otherwise, I'm happy to, never speak to you again.
Yeah. Okay. When I was like, no, I didn't do that. I totally did do this on the no purchase survey that follows up in a launch. I do have.
That's right.
I'm like, if you want me to follow up,
that is correct.
Email. And my favorite is when people are like, yes, do follow up. And then they don't leave an email.
That's okay, which is fine. So make sure you say, and please leave your email address. That will solve that problem.
No, it said that. People can't follow directions, myself included.
Well, it happens. The other thing to really be aware of that I really want to talk about with attrition is that what will happen is people will want to stay in contact with you. It's really hard for people to break up with you.
Yeah.
Okay. breaking up is hard.
Mm-hmm.
You will have about 3 months with a client. Okay.
Oh.
It takes about 3 months for a client to have like what I call a breaking away point.
Oh, after a breakup. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They have about a 3-month breaking away point. So they'll move and be like, no, but I'll still come and see you. I'll still buy products. I'll do whatever. Okay. After that, they will. In that 3 months, they might continue to see you. They might try to make it work. They might, still buy product. If they continue past 3 months, they're your client. They'll stay with you. They're probably not going to. It serves them best if you can pass them on to somebody, because it's really hard. It's really hard to do distance with a client who's seen somebody, they like to see somebody. It really works better for them. So if you can pass them on, help them find somebody, like help them find someone. Okay. If that means not selling them product anymore, that means not selling them product anymore. It's okay. They belong to somebody else now.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's like ultimate customer care, being in that abundant mindset and knowing that you're not losing out just because somebody else is gaining a client.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I always say, and I always say this, and I say it as humbly as possible, I'm one of the best estheticians in the country. It is really hard to replace me. As my clients have discovered, as I've moved, there's a reason why I'm going back to LA for 2 days a week. It is incredibly hard to replace me. And it just is. I have estheticians out there that I totally, totally trust. As one of the best estheticians in the country, I have estheticians that I trust that I'll send people, I'll like, go see this person. They're amazing. Mm-hmm. So you can find somebody who is amazing too. You just have to start looking. Mm-hmm. And the best way to do that is you find people who align with your beliefs. So, because if they like what you do, those clients like what you do, they're going to like somebody else who likes the same thing. So it's whether it's they carry the same products, they do the same kind of trainings you do. Start when you go to trainings, meeting those people and staying connected with them. Mm-hmm. Call your rep and say, hey, I'm looking for other people who carry these products in that state. And then start making phone calls.
No, right? Not the phone calls.
Not the phone calls. But yeah, I mean, in estheticians, we really need to call people. I mean, you can start looking on Instagram or something.
Yeah, make an internet friend.
Try to help that customer out.
I love that.
It will serve you in the long run.
Yeah. And I even, I'm trying to think of who this was. I don't remember where exactly I heard it, but it was like a doctor or chiropractor's like, look, if people come into my office and I already know from the beginning that I can't help them, I would rather recommend them to go work with somebody and they'll remember that. But rather than have like that shitty, long, drawn out breakup process,
Yeah, it's terrible. It's really, really hard. It's really hard. And I know that we get, we get very attached to our clientele and it's hard to let them go, but you want to pass them off to somebody really wonderful, to the best person you can. Mm-hmm. You really, really do. And the more of a network you create, the better all the other estheticians in your network are. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's room for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And your client is going to be so much happier, and all the work that you've done with that client, it's going to be maintained. Mm-hmm. So that's always something that it's very important to me.
And it's an encouragement to go out and like continue to build that network for yourself.
Yes. I mean, I always get really excited when I meet an esthetician in a class or at a show or something. And I'm like, you live in Alabama? You live in somewhere completely random? This is amazing. Yeah. I'm so excited.
You never know when it'll work out.
I know.
Let's see. I feel like we've talked on a lot of points about attrition and how to show up for your clients. And also, I think we haven't explicitly said this, but it's never personal. I mean, sometimes it's personal, but like for the most part, when people leave, like I had to do a lot of self-reflection to get to a point where I'm like, oh, this person left. Oh, that's a bummer. I'm not right for them in this moment for whatever reason. And if it's atrocious, they can tell me, but like, I know who I am and what I stand for and how I show up. And I am confident in that. Yeah.
I mean, it can be personal.
It can be about you. Yeah.
It can be about you. But at the end of the day, if you've done everything you can to learn from that, or to just be like, well, this is who I am and I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Right. Because there are definitely times, I mean, I'm going to talk about, I to this day have a client who left me that I have no idea why. I think about it all the time. Like, he literally was a good client for a long time. And then one day he dropped me an email where it was like, and when he left that appointment that day, I knew that there was something that was weird that happened because he was weird. And I was like, is everything okay? As far as I'm concerned, the appointment went completely normal. It was a perfectly regular appointment. Nothing happened in it. Nothing. We didn't talk about anything that was like not about we talked about his dogs and supernatural. That's it. So it wasn't anything like politics or anything that came up. Nothing weird happened. He dropped me an email later being like, I'm going to have to cancel. My wife is not okay with me coming to see you anymore. Now, his wife has known that he's been seeing me for like 5 years. So it was like really weird. And so I knew that it wasn't that reason.
Maybe he was like totally in love with you?
No, not even. So to this day, and I dropped in the regular email saying, hey, I just want to know, is everything okay? You know, you seemed like you were a little uncomfortable when you left. I just want to make sure it wasn't me. And I didn't hear anything from him. And that was the end of it. But it's something I continue to think about because
years have passed?
Like 5.
I almost want you
But these are the things that they just niggle away at you.
Hey, I know this is totally random and out of the blue, but it comes up every once in a while. Did I do something? ? And just leave it at that. Oh my God, please send this email and like update us. What do you have to lose?
Just no way.
Send it.
No.
Send it.
No.
We need to know. The people need to know.
No. But it will constantly bother me.
But what if you could get closure?
I don't need it. I'll just sit around just wondering.
You'd rather wonder?
I will. I'll just wonder.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But it is one of those things that like we all have those times where we're just like, I don't know. But I know in my heart that something weird went on. Like in his mind, something went on. And I'm like, what happened?
We'll never know.
He really was like, I said something about Jensen Ackles that he was like, oh my God, but I can't be about that, whatever.
Well, maybe one day.
See, this is the thing. Most times when something like that happens,
is that you won't tell me, and you will send an email to find out why this guy left.
I'll consider it. I guarantee you, if I sent that, he'd be like, I don't even remember that.
He'll be like, who are you again?
Exactly. Like, I don't even remember that. What? This is the crap that we obsess about that nobody else cares about.
Of course. And we want to hear. We definitely want to hear. So please tell us like who keeps you up at night where you're like, what did I say to make that client leave? Like, I still don't know. Send us a message. Send us your like horror story. Send us your attrition nightmares where you're like, well, I guess I'll just work at Costco now because it happens to everybody. So hit us up on the socials. You can find the show at Skinfessional. You can find Cybil at Your Skin Fitness Expert. You can find moi at
Right.
Oh no, wait.
Everything's backwards.
Oh no, it's all, I don't understand. Or you can give us a call and leave us a voicemail, and we'd love to hear your voice because you're probably going to be laughing, I hope, as you tell us the story. And you can leave that voice message in our box.
It's 818-473-5277. It's the sexiest box out there, guys. It's so sexy. It's so sexy. Tell us all of your stories, all your attrition stories, and apparently your secret stories of shame, of like the weird things that your clients have just ghosted you for. Because apparently that's what this is really all about. Being ghosted by clientele.
Tell us, please. Please don't leave us in the dark like Cybil is leaving us in the dark. Don't be like Cybil, okay?
Well, until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.
Bye.